My mic's on. Hello and good day. In Algebra, we'll be going over PO5, which is the order of operations. No doubt you've had this format. I know you've had this before because you and I are in agreement on what the order of operations should be, which is PERMDAS. We include the R, and the reasons why will come clear to you as we go on further into the year. But first of all, a little bit of explanation as to why we have the order of operations, right? If you wanted to take 3 plus 4 times 7, it would be a problem if you got two different answers for that. You know, math being kind of one of the few universal languages, anywhere you go, 2 plus 2 is going to equal 4. It might be verbalized differently or written differently, but two things and two things will equal 4 things, okay? And so it's important that if we have 3 plus 4 times 7, everyone gets the same answer. You can't just say, oh, well, you know, today I feel like adding 3 and 4 first to get 7, then multiply that by 7 to get 49, but maybe tomorrow I'll multiply 4 and 7 first to get 28 and then add 3 to get 31. It's important that we all do the same thing so we all get the same result. So which one's correct? Is 3 plus 4 times 7 equal to 49 or equal to 31? Yes. 31. Because the order of operations states that multiplication comes before addition. Okay? And so it's not like this is my opinion on the way you should do things or my suggestion. This is the order of operations. The P in PERMDAS stands for parentheses, which actually isn't an operation, is it? No, it isn't. You can't parenthesize something, right? What's 3 parentheses 8? What? I mean, I guess it represents multiplication. You can make, but parentheses themselves are not operations. Parentheses are that powerful symbol we can add into an equation to change the order of operations, right? So if I wanted 3 plus 4 times 7 to equal 49, I could make it equal 49 by adding parentheses. Okay? If I put parentheses around my addition 3 and 4, now this says, no. Don't follow the order of operations. Add first. Take 3 and 4, get 7, and then multiply by 7 to get 49. Okay? So that's the most powerful of them all. Next comes the E, which stands for, yes, exponents, squaring, cubing, etc. Then comes the R, which stands for roots, radicals. And then M for multiplication. D for division. A for addition. And S for subtraction. Okay. PERMDAS. And the biggest mistake that folks have here is they almost take the order of operations too literally, right? To where if you saw something that was 10 minus 5 plus 8, and someone says, you got to add first because addition comes before subtraction. In actuality, what do we do instead? Gabby? Why would we subtract first in this case? Go ahead. Right, yeah. So addition and subtraction, you know, the order of operations are kind of divided into levels here, right? Based on the operations that are opposite of each other. Addition and subtraction undo each other, like multiplication and division do, and exponents and radicals. That's why the radicals belongs there, okay? And if you've got operations, it's all you have, and they're on the same level, then you just work from left to right. So it would be correct to take 10 minus 5 first, which is 5, and then add 8 to that to get 13. Okay? If you are stubborn and say, no, my teacher said addition comes before subtraction, can you add first here? Yeah, you can. Okay, but what do you have to keep in mind? It's not going to be, it better not be a different answer. I mean, 'cause that's the whole point of the order of operations, that we don't get different answers. Elise?
It's a -5.
Right. If you take 5 plus 8 and then subtract 10 minus 13, you would get a different answer because you did not follow the equation the way you should. If you want to add first, it's a -5 plus 8. That subtraction sign belongs to the 5, makes a -5. -5 plus 8 is +3, and 10 plus 3 gets us back to 13. Okay, so it is okay to add first if you really want to. You just have to make sure you're adding the right thing, that negative sign belongs to that 5. Okay. Well, they're both right. This is the accepted way to do it if you are following the order of operations, because if you have subtraction and addition, those are the only operations that you have, you go from left to right. Okay, but this is also not wrong to add first. You just have to remember that's a -5 plus 8, not +5 plus 8. Okay. Questions on that? All right. So when you go into your homework then, and we'll do several examples together here, I don't leave you this much space so that you could write your answer really big. Okay, that's not why that much space is there. That much space is there so that you can show me the work that you're doing to get that answer. So what I would like to see from you, we'll do the first one together here. 7 plus 6 divided by, then we got parentheses, the difference of 7 and 1. What are we doing first? What are we doing first? Bridget?
The parentheses.
Yes. So I want you to underline, that's what's being done first. Rewrite the expression to then be 7 plus 6 divided by 6, because that's what 7 minus 1 is. And now what will we do next? What comes next? Yeah.
6 divided by 6.
Divide, which is 1. So we get 7 plus 1. You can still write your answer big if you want to. Okay? But I need to see those intermediate steps. Because again, you could put this in your calculator and get 8. And that's not what I'm assessing here, that you can push buttons in the correct order, right? I want you to understand and know what is done as we go through. Let's do the fourth one. The sum of 9 and 1 divided by 3 squared. What's being done first? Thumper?
9 plus 1.
Okay. Is that the only thing we can do in this first step, or can we kind of save ourselves a little bit of time and do something else as well? Go ahead. Thumper, yes, you. Yeah, why can we do both of those things at the same time here? Because they're being separated by something we'll do later. They're being separated by division. They don't affect each other directly. Okay? So we get 9 plus 1, which is 10, divided by 3 squared, which is 9. And now we get 10 divided by 9. Yeah. And if you want to write 1.1 repeating, you would not be wrong. If you wanted to round that to 1.1 or 1.11, you would also not be wrong. However, as you get deeper into the math, something like that, it's most correct to write it 10/9, to keep that value exactly as it is. So that if you need to use that value again later on in another calculation, you're not using a rounded answer. Because every time that you round, you lose a little bit of that accuracy, right? So I would accept a rounded answer here, but 10/9 is kind of what you want to get in the habit of using. Okay? Questions on this so far? No? Okay. We'll go on to the next page then. Similar thing to start with here. I want you to underline each step as you go. Those who have begun working, is there one that you've come across that you want to talk about? Elise?
The one with the 500.
Second row, second one, 500 minus 4 times the sum of 7 and 3, and that's being squared. kind of a lot going on there, right? If I'm counting up the operations, I count subtraction, multiplication, addition, and a power, along with parentheses. Okay? What are we doing first? What should be done first? Audrey? Parentheses. So I'm going to underline that, okay? And then we got 500 minus 4. In my parentheses, I now have 10, and that's being squared. That exponent outside of the parentheses means that you've got to do what's in there first, okay? And then you're squaring that value. Bridget?
Oh, I was gonna say
The answer or what comes next? Let's work it step by step. What would you do next here?
the exponent.
The exponent, right? 10 squared is
100.
100. So now we have 500 minus 4 times 100. Now we would multiply. So we have 500 minus 400. And we're clear to evaluate 100 would be the answer. So, Elise, if you wouldn't mind sharing where in that were you getting kind of...
I think I just wrote something down wrong.
Sure, it happens. As I did earlier when I divided when I should have multiplied. Any others from this? Yeah.
4 minus the 1 with 2 parentheses.
Oh, yeah, sure. Second one, top row, 4 minus the sum of 2 and 8, minus 5 times the product of the sum of 2 and 5. Okay. What can I underline first? What will be done in our first step here? Yes. Parentheses, both sets, right? We can do both at once since they don't affect each other. So 2 plus 8 is 10. So we have 4 minus 10 minus 5 times 2 plus 5 gives us 7. Okay, should make this a little bit clearer. It's a subtraction sign there. All right, so 4 minus 10 minus 5 times 7. What comes next? What comes next, Bridget?
The minuses, so 4 minus 10.
We could do that next, I suppose, since it doesn't affect our multiplication over here. But we don't want to take negative 6 minus 5 next, right? Because we do have to multiply that negative 5 and 7 before we do that subtraction. So negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. And negative 6 minus 35 is a negative 41. Okay. Any others from these 8? Okay. The next section there is designed to kind of show you how parentheses can really affect a value. In fact, the last two here. If you look at this middle section, parentheses can greatly affect the value of an expression. Evaluate each expression for n equals 3. So when it says 4n squared, I want you to evaluate that when n is 3. So you're going to substitute 3 in for n. So we have 4 times 3 squared. What do we get? 4 times 3 squared, yeah. 36. Okay, 3 squared becomes 9, times 4 is 36. The other 4 of these all look to be pretty similar to that, right? You've got the next one, which is also 4n squared, but the 4n is in parentheses. Then the third one is 4n squared with a negative sign. And then I put negative 4n in parentheses and square it. And the last one, the negative sign is on the outside of the parentheses with 4n, and that's being squared. So they're all very, very similar, but we will not get 36 for all of them. So for that section, it's really pay attention to the order of operations here. What should be done first, and work your way through them all. Yeah.
When you square a negative, it's positive, right?
When you square a negative that's contained in parentheses, yes, it will become positive. Like we've seen in geometry with the distance formula, something like negative 12 squared and negative 12 squared. Oh, brother, what was that? What happened? Did I break it?
Something.
Oh, now it's back. Okay, let's try that again. So something like negative 12 squared or negative 12 Someone's messing with me today. I'll do it over here. Third time's a charm. Something like negative 12 squared and negative 12 squared, there we go, are different answers, right? Because in that first one, that negative sign, what does that really represent, the negative sign? I mean, like what? I don't know, better way to ask this, but when you have a negative sign out in front of a number, it's like you're taking negative 1 times whatever number is being negative. Okay? So negative 12 is like taking negative 1 times 12. So when you have negative 12 squared without parentheses, since exponents come before multiplication, you're only squaring the 12 here, which gives you 144. And that negative sign just kind of hops on. So you get negative 144 as the final answer. However, with that negative sign in parentheses, that really means negative 12 times negative 12, right? So you would get a positive 144 from that. Lauren?
How would you do it's down below the parentheses, the 60 minus 7 plus 4 times 2?
Yeah. Before we get to that, any more questions on this middle section here? Okay. So for the bottom section, you want each expression to equal 45. And you'll notice that as it's written, 60 minus 7 plus 4 times 2 doesn't equal 45. So what you need to do is place parentheses somewhere in the expression so that you change the order of operations the way they're written and thus make it equal to 45. So you're not adding any numbers. You're not changing the operations. You're just changing the order by adding parentheses. So does anybody have a thought where we would put parentheses in that first one to make it equal to 45? Brent?
Before the 7 and after the 2.
Do you include the negative sign with that
No.
inside? Okay. So right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So now the way it's written, we would do the parentheses first, which is 60 minus 7 plus 8, right? Because we have to multiply within the parentheses. Or 60 minus 15, which equals 45. Right? So as they're written, they do not equal 45. You need to add parentheses so that they do. Question?
Can you do the last one?
I can. And tomorrow we'll find out if you can do the last one. Yeah. They are all possible. I will tell you that. They're all possible. So try some things out and see what you can come up with. It might take more than one set. It's possible to have more than one set of parentheses. Okay? So just know that as well. But that's what we got. That's PO5. You've got about 10 minutes left to work in class. This is due tomorrow for homework. Your math packet is due tomorrow as well. You've got Khan Academy due on Thursday. So if you have left your math packet until tonight, then you've got a busy evening ahead of you. Okay? If you need to ask me any questions about the packet, it's Monday, so all I'm going to be doing is watching football anyway, so I have nothing better to do than answer any emails that come my way, so feel free. Okay? Final thoughts? Okay, that, folks, is How You Math.